So welcome to the Node.js N-API Team meeting for September 11th, 2020. We'll follow our standard approach, which is to go through the issues we've tagged for milestone 11. So let me bring that up. Okay. So I will share, milestone 11, share, okay. And actually, before I forgot to ask, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? No? Okay, so let's move on. So discussing N-API 7, I don't think there's anything we need to talk about that, Gabriel, is there?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna start doing the changing of the if-defs and then that'll be an API 7.
Okay, sounds good. Reviewing external examples. We were just had that on our list to do. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to take a look. No, we'll just leave it on there. Okay, so tracking issues for modules we've noticed have been ported. Let's see, I don't remember anything new there, so I don't think there's anything new since our last meeting. Anything people want to talk about on that one? Just do a quick look just to see how the trend is. Oh, that's interesting. Well, unless I did something wrong, there's some sort of outage there. Anyway, let's move on. The NodeConf EU workshop proposal. Jim, have you heard anything on that?
No word on that, Michael.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see too many workshops on the website yet, so maybe that's not they haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
I know I haven't enabled debug testing for add-ons yet. And I think that leaves us to looking at issues which have been raised in the repos. I know, Nikolai, you've been working on the next Node add-on API release.
Yeah, there is an issue that I opened, the 809. So yeah, I think that this is the paragraph about the documentation that Gabriel made. So we need to discuss about something because you commented yesterday. I saw.
Yeah, and it may be nothing, but I thought it's worth having a quick discussion. Like, I think Gabriel, you converted the docs to talk about the templated versions. But
Yes.
I'm thinking that's fairly recent, and I just wondered, like, what if people are using older versions, or I assume you can still use it non-templated, right?
As far as I know, these were always templated, right? Like,
okay,
they just weren't documented as such.
Okay, so it's not that I wasn't, yeah, that was one thing I wasn't quite sure was I thought that maybe before the addition where you shifted the base class, right? But okay, maybe I'm confused and that didn't actually affect the templating. We just hadn't documented it that way.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. So you always needed to put the templates there?
Yes.
Okay.
For object wrap, definitely. And now that we have add-on and instance wrap, also definitely. So
right.
all those classes, all those classes use CRTP, so you can't avoid the templating.
Okay. It's templated. So it's just fixing the doc versus changing.
But okay, but the fact that they're only available in newer versions, that is true. So your answer might not be to this comment because
right. Okay.
Because yes, that's a fair comment. Like, yeah, in the core docs we have, you know, since N-API X or Node.js Y, but in our documentation we don't have these since fields, and we
Right.
may want
Okay.
to add them.
Okay, but I don't think that needs to be part of this particular version, right? Because if we haven't had them to date, I don't want to block the
Yeah.
release
No, no,
shift
no,
to
no.
add them, but
Yeah.
Okay, so really it's,
Okay.
so I'm going to say this doesn't apply, right? That sound
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to, I'll basically say once you address Nick's changes, we're good, right?
Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks for working on that. That looks like quite a bit of work and will significantly improve the doc.
Yeah, no worries.
Nicola, did you have any other comments or things you want to discuss on that?
About the release, no, but I have some issue to discuss.
Okay, on a different issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so let's go back to, so in terms of this release,
I don't know what do you want to with do you want to do with thread safe function X? So is it possible to insert in the release or not?
I'd be tempted, because we broke 301, I'd be kind of tempted to make the 302 without it and then do a 331 soon after.
So for now, we no, and in the next release.
Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, I think it would be good to release sooner rather than later, since we've broken things.
Yeah, and I think the thread safe function EX is probably ready, but we'd have to finish the review. We'd also have to, would also be then like a Semver minor. So I'm kind of thinking it's nicer to give people a Semver patch for to fix what we, to fix 301, right?
Agreed.
Okay. Okay, so that, Nicola, that sounds like the way to go.
Okay, when the doc will we start to prepare the release.
Okay.
Uh, 301.
301, right? Yeah, 301, right? Perfect. Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Anything more to discuss on that before we move on? No. Okay.
Yeah, the first I want to discuss the first issue.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I just made some experiment, and when I create a class using plain JavaScript, Yeah, I got these descriptors for instance method. But if yeah, I use simple example of object wrap,
Mhm.
we get that the method has the attributes set in different ways. So I don't know. I test these on Node, Chrome, Firefox, and yeah, we get writable true, configurable true for instance method. Instead, when we made this on object wrap, we get that all attributes are set false.
Right. Node.js API. I'm
Because-
wondering, like, if is there a what default is at the C, like the not like the API Node.js API itself.
In C, you cannot avoid passing the parameter, right?
Okay.
Because it doesn't have default parameters, so you always have to say what you want.
Right. Okay.
yeah,
And I guess we do have N-API default though, right? So
today we are we are setting these attributes like yeah, N-API default.
yeah, that's true. Let me see here. Yeah, so we have N-API default, writable, enumerable, configurable, and static. So yeah, I guess I mean we are consistent with core in that we set N-API default if we're past the default parameter. So we've written an API in such a way that things are not normally enumerable unless you
Right.
tell it to make them enumerable, and same with configurable and writable. So I don't know how to answer this. I mean, it's just our default, and people have been using it this way for how long now? Like 2-3 years, and so
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm tending to think that we should just stick with it. Like if we change the defaults in C++, then that'll be inconsistent with the core API.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just looking at the API. So actually where I'm looking for where we've defined that should be just native API types.
Well, okay, I see now. It says the corresponding non-API set prototype method calls da, and to my understanding of the V8 API, they use da, which is defined inverted, right? So yeah, I remember when we did this. V8, the V8 flags are indeed inverted, but we decided to go with the flags according to spec, right? Which is the same as pure JS, right? Which means enumerable and writable and configurable, rather than read only, don't enum, and don't delete. So that's how this ended up happening, and so that's probably why our default ended up being the opposite of NAN's default, because NAN goes with the V8 default, which is open completely, whereas
Right.
we go with the JavaScript default, which is closed completely. Although as Nick points out, in JavaScript, if you don't specify anything, then you get writable and configurable.
Right.
So yeah, I guess we are the most conservative implementation in that sense. And okay, I can understand that people moving from NaN now have to add all these attributes if they're being used. So that's a little bit more of a burden for converting from NaN to an API.
Yep. I just
But
wonder if there is, like, should we be considering, like in the C API, we could define another constant, which would be like N-API open default or something, right?
Yes, yeah, that summarizes ORs those together.
Right.
Yeah, the thing is though, like if we change the default and then people rebuild their already migrated add-ons, then they might get some unexpected behavior, right? Because all of a sudden things are exposed to JavaScript that
No,
were
no,
also
I
exposed,
don't mean
harder to
changing the
find.
I don't mean changing the default, but I mean, like, it's more like adding another, like NAPI default would still be the same, but NAPI open default would
Yeah.
be the one that matches JavaScript. Like if that's what people want 99% of the time, giving them a shortcut may make sense.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So they don't have to type 3 things every time.
Right. It's just a little bit more, concise in terms of the code. So, and if we did that at the C level, then what would we do at the Node.js N-API level? That would be
We
the
would
equivalent.
we would say if def an API less than something, then
Yeah.
OR them together. Otherwise, use the core value, I think.
Right. I guess we could even, like in N-API itself, we could provide a shortcut which, yeah, right. That's what you just said. Or them together ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Until the shortcut is available.
Yeah.
But the question is, do we want to make this the default? Because that would change things. It might even cause breakage.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I don't think we want to change the default in my mind.
Right. So we cannot provide what Flarna is asking for here. I don't think.
Right.
Which is
So
to
instance
line up
member
with that.
though, like let's look at the GitHub Node.js.
Nan. Okay.
I wanted to look at Node add-on API just to look at instance method. Right. So this is instance.
Yeah, it takes NAPI default.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it wouldn't, yeah, I don't know if it makes sense to have like a duplicate set that takes some other default. Probably not.
I don't even know if we could, right? Because they would have to have a different name. I don't think you
Right.
can overload that way.
No, it would have to be like instance open method or something, right? Like,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And I don't know if it makes sense to do that, because on one hand you have to use a different name, like open instance method. On the other hand, you have to add the attributes. You have to specify the attributes, whereas in Nan you didn't. So either way, there's a difference. There's going to be a difference from
right.
Nan. Either the method name is going to be different, or the signature is going to be different.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've already foregone the ability, or forfeited the ability to translate from Nan transparently.
Right. So yeah, it sounds like, probably the most we should try is to put another definition to make it slightly easier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go back to, I think that one should already have the, yeah, okay. So where, this one, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair to say we might have chosen a different default?
Yep.
We're starting from scratch. At this point, though, Existing
bindings, I guess, or
in both
add-ons.
the C and C.
Plus, plus.
Existing add-ons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can we add? We can't really add it to the enum, can we?
Yeah, we can, because we
Okay.
have a little bit of room there. It's finite, but we do,
Right.
because
Okay.
oh, and actually no, I think we can add it safely, because the enum is powers of 2, and we have room between 1 and like 2 to the 10th, I think. 2 to the 10th being static.
Okay.
So oring them together should be fine.
So we'll just end up with we'll have a gap though in the enums.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the result will be, if I'm not mistaken, a power of 2 minus 1, right? If you OR these things together, so we can still introduce power of 2 values later if needed.
Okay. Or we could just make it another. I guess it needs to be an enum that's in that set, doesn't it?
It should be, yeah.
Right.
We could do a C++ preprocessor directive, but that would be,
Okay.
I think, a little bit misleading. I think it would be best if we just added it to the enum.
Right. Okay.
Maybe you want to say introduce a new enum value to be clear. Yeah.
Anything, Nicola? You were. Was there something else you wanted to add?
Michael, maybe make the identifier a string literal or a code block. The N-API open default.
Okay.
Yeah, just add
make
some backquotes around it. Maybe Flarna, right? I mean, we were asking Flarna as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's who I meant to. Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant to do. Oops. Right.
The same for N-API property attributes. Maybe if you use backtick, it would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
That look good.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll see what he thinks, because that seems like one option that is possible. Although it might only be usable in later versions, like if it's part of the enum.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to trickle back and go through the experimental phase and all that. So yeah, it'll
Right.
be a while before it's widely available. But
Right.
we
But
could
still,
do it.
if it's people think it's quite useful, we could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess in the wrapper, we could define something which is a define that either uses the enum value or is the other enum value
Yeah,
together.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you would use that. Actually, and that's something we could do even without making it in the C API itself. Like here's the shortcut.
But we have nothing to if-def against, though, right? So you know
But
what I mean? Like
it would just be like
now,
we would define a hash define N-API open default, maybe all caps or whatever, but that would then just be an OR of N-API writable, enumerable, and configurable.
well, if we're gonna make it, let's not make it all caps. Let's make it have the right form, and then I suppose we can define it unconditionally for now, and then when it appears in the core headers, then we can switch to a conditional definition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can figure that out. But I was just thinking, like, we can actually give a shortcut in the wrapper that will be usable.
Yeah.
Sooner than later. Okay. So that's that one. Any others that people think? Most things look a little older than last meeting. Other ones that people think we should take a look at?
Kevin mentioned 799.
Okay. This one, yeah. So I guess Kevin's tried to reproduce it, but that's good. So I guess we just need to wait to see if there's more info that that Ross can provide that would help Kevin reproduce. Any other ones?
There is an issue that is closed now.
This one, sorry, just before we get there, Gabriel, is this one we can close now with your change?
Well, I would like some opinions on this. I don't think we really need this working with JavaScript values. It's just a very small document, and it just links to, it just links to some of these classes. But I mean, we have a much more comprehensive documentation. So I think it would be okay to drop this one. It doesn't really add anything.
But you need to make another change on your podcast. So
No. This I would make this a different one. Like dropping the if we decide to drop this file, then that would be another pull request. I wouldn't add that to my existing one.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, but so we can close. We can comment on the issue that we want to drop the file, and you can do this in another.
Another pull request. Yeah.
Right. So is it? I'm just going to say with your other change. Like it's well.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So then I'll make it in. I'll make another pull request for removing this file.
Sounds good to everybody? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any others we should, on the Node.js API side, we should dive into?
It's an issue that now it's closed, 810.
Okay, let me find that. I'll just go into one. Sorry, 810?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he asked why. Okay. With Node.js 12.14.1, he don't have the N-API settings installed, but it's because I think that that it's experimental, no? So it is not clear from the core documentation that when we say that that feature is added added in, it's not clear. So
right, I think it's maybe not that it's experimental, but that it's
in 6.
It's in 6 and the default is 3, right?
Yeah.
But if
or the default may be 5 actually. Well,
but in the Node version 12.8.0, we don't have an API version 6.
Right. Okay.
So this is my problem. So
right.
That version is the version when we added for the first time that that feature or that function. But at that time, the function was experimental.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
And so these create confusion, in my opinion. And maybe we could maintain added in and then make stable from I don't know. So
Yeah. Okay.
we need
Yeah.
direct information to specify these things.
Yeah, it sounds like this. Yeah, we need to have similar headers to what the core documentation has as to when it was added, both in terms of, well, I guess we don't really care about Node.js version, but we do care about N-API version, right? So you know, we could say something like yeah, well, no, we do care about our own versions, right? So we could say added in version, you know, 2.8.3 and N-API version X. So yeah, we need something similar to what core has in terms of when it was added and what N-API version it's available in.
But we do have the added in the N-API version.
No, I'm talking about the Node add-on API documentation, because this person started with env set instance data, right? Env : set instance data. So and only then did they look in the core to see the equivalent, right?
Right. Okay. So yeah, I think, yeah, like having the extra information that says when things are enabled in the wrapper is definitely good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though if that was the confusion here. Like it sounds like they then looked at.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. They started with the core.
But I'm wondering how complicated we want to get. Like, it's, if you actually go and look at the docs for 12.18, like, is there a docs Node API docs, right? And they're right. So 12 dot. I guess there's no 12.x though.
There is one way to get to it, but I forget how.
You can put on the URL, and you can remove the latest dash. And
right. Okay. Right. So here you could go there, and then what was it called? It was set instance.
Yeah, there. Yeah, it doesn't have an N-API thing yet, meaning that it's experimental.
Yeah, although we should probably experimental. Right, like we probably should have had.
Yeah.
We may have missed that. But anyway,
Yep.
that's here nor there. Normally we would have this.
Okay, so yeah, this is.
I just wonder, like, you know, it's a bit of an edge case. And does adding in another thing that says like experimental since.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, this is going to end up having a version matrix for every API if we want to be absolutely pedantic about it, and I think that's a little excessive.
And
right?
Because it potentially can change, like as experimental, it might change. Then we could even get into a more complicated. Well, it was added in 12.8, but we changed it in 12.9.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
and so then when was it really added? Is, you know, and
yeah. I mean, we cannot fully track the history for every API entry, right? In that sense, I mean, in most cases, it's probably okay-ish, but I think what the kinds of headers we have in core are amply sufficient. I think. Because basically in core, if it doesn't say N-API 6 or N-API 5 or whatever, then it is to be assumed that it's experimental, even if we forgot to mark it as such. But I guess people don't necessarily get that right away.
So it was still added in 12.8.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have an N-API version. So we actually have the information even in the latest that says when was it added, right?
Yeah.
So right. So it says it was 10.12.8. So that was added in 12.8. I guess we could even get into some troubles there with it having been changed, but it's kind of like the N-API version 6 is the first time.
Have a look at N-API add async cleanup hook. That thing has actually been broken.
Right.
So this one it says, oh, never mind, it's experimental. So yeah, there, it's got a bit of history. Yeah, see, so this
Okay.
thing has changes, so that's pretty good actually.
That actually is good, yeah. So I think that's good. But I guess the point is, like, you may need to, it tells you when, I think it's more that it tells you need N-API version 6. However, it also tells you it was added in 14.8.0, and so you might think that you could use it there.
And you can, as long as you add N-API experimental.
Right, but you don't know that, like looking from the current doc.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily obvious.
So like, I don't know, like stable since or yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the logic is if it says added, then it's experimental unless there's an N-API version, in which case it's not.
Right.
So
I think maybe some more explanation. Yeah, like that's
yeah.
what I'm thinking, is like some explanation that says
And the fact is that this whole problem stems from the fact that we forgot to update the documentation. So 12.8 crystallized with a bug in the documentation. That's the fundamental problem.
I don't think that's what confused them, though. I think in my mind, it's like they came here, they looked at it and said, it's 12.8. I'm using 12.8. I should be okay.
Yes.
But they didn't, like, the experimental bit didn't get, they didn't realize, oh, I've got to say that it was experimental in 12.8.
Yeah, so maybe at the top of this document we should add a blurb about what this added in and N-API version means and how it is to be interpreted.
Yeah, I can take the action to do that. That makes sense.
Yeah, because the solution that I proposed was to define an app experimental and then all worked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
So yeah, maybe we need only some explanation about this.
Okay, sorry, which one? That was number
810.
Well, let me go. Okay, let me get back to there.
That's a closed one.
Yeah, I'm just going to.
Oops.
Sorry, 810. Yeah, if I could only type properly. Right. Okay. So yeah. Okay. 810. So yeah, I think I'll take a cut at like a blurb that says, here's how to interpret those.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that can help.
Of course, if we forget to add something, well, I guess it's still good, right? Like if we forget to add, N-API version 6, then people would just keep using N-API experimental unnecessarily, but that's not necessarily as bad as not being able to find the method or the function.
Right, and well, when we add the version, then, that's a fixable thing that, like, okay, and when we add the N-API version to a later version, then at least when they go to the latest, they'll see it.
They'll know they can drop it.
Because I think most people will go to the latest, possibly for the version like the 12.x line, but it most likely just the latest and say, oh, okay, well, that was added in 12.8. I'm using 12.8. Why isn't it working, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Are there others that we should talk about? Otherwise, I'll move on to the Node side to see if there's anything. I guess this one, redundancy and NAPI value, is that the one that's?
Oh, this will be fixed when the doc PR lands.
Okay.
The doc PR is actually marked as fixing it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so no others. Let's look at Node then. Okay, I don't see any new issues. Okay, and I don't see any other new open PRs either. Is there anything on the Node core side do you think we should talk about?
I don't think so. I don't have anything right now.
Anybody
But
else?
I have been out of it for a couple of weeks, so.
Okay. Anybody else or?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Well, great. Well, then thanks for everybody for taking the time today, and we will see you in GitHub and next week.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
See you then.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.